5.2%, where 238,746 cases were registered.
Police records the number of reported deaths by shooting in 2018 as 190, death by mob justice 636, death by poisoning 81, while aggravated domestic violence numbers stood at 362. Lira topped the districts with the highest number of reported cases. Mbarara followed with 5,262. Arua came next with slightly 4,900. Ntungamo stood at 4,731, while Katwe in Kampala division was also included on the list. In 2018, a total of 15,099 cases of economic crimes were reported compared to 16,031 in 2017. They were obtaining money by false pretenses, forgery and uttering of false documents, counterfeiting, and issuing false checks. There were over 14,000 casualties from road accidents in 2018. This marks a 3% reduction from 2017. This included 3,689 fatalities. According to ownership of vehicles involved in accidents last year, private ones topped the list with 16,995, 268 police vehicles, 39 belonging to the army, while prisons had 10. Pedestrians were the most affected by these accidents.
Most of them are knocked when they are crossing the roads in KMP South and KMP North, plus highways. The second, we don't have enough pedestrian walkways, especially outside CBD.
Whereas police says there is a drop in crime, their investigating teams face several challenges.
Judiciary, DPP, they are overwhelmed with work as well as the police in investigating some of these and the perusals, and then some districts don't have state attorneys.
The drowning of the MV Templar on Lake Victoria in November 2018 was one of the most difficult cases for the Marine Police. 32 people died. Ali Mivule, NTV.
And so, like we've seen in that particular story, that will be the key focus in our conversation this morning on Kickstarter. And like we said, we are joined by Mr. Freddie David Egesa to break that down. He is a security analyst and expert right here in the country. You're welcome, sir. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm fine. Yeah. What do you make of this report?
Well, I thank the police because at least we have a report. You remember the other time we did not have any report for like 3 years. Now it's like, okay, it's better late than never, because the report, such a report should come up around maybe February, so that you look at what you have to do in the next year. Now we're approaching mid-year, but all the same, something has been done. What I look at when I look at this report very fast, I see that we are looking at a situation whereby the police now comes up and says these are the crimes committed.
Correct.
And we may be excited and say maybe crime is on the increase, but it could also be a situation that there is now fair reporting of cases. That's another version. Secondly, we are looking at a situation that when a report like this comes out, everybody should read it. It's not only for people who, it's not only for security, because we should understand, if we're talking about a situation whereby we are dealing with defilements which are at 4,000, we have like 15,000 defilements a year, then we are talking about 42 children or 45 children defiled every day. So if you have girl children, or if you have a relative who is a girl child, you have to know where you're standing. If you're talking about a situation where you say we have child stealings, we have like 240. That's about a child a day.
Right.
We're talking about situations of maybe murder. Here we are seeing about 4,000 307. So meaning that we lose 11 people every day to murder. We are talking about shooting. We have talked about 190 people a year, meaning that we lose about 2 people every day. One person every 2 days. So all this brings us to one mind that all of us should wake up. Though the police has the mandate to keep us safe, but also have the duty. Everybody has a duty to make sure that we improve on this report. We are happy that they have come up with something, and this time I think we should applaud them and encourage them to do better, like bring the report on time, and at the same time, of course, we may need much more. If we say that, what are the solutions? Do they have some kind of strategies?
Correct.
Do they? What are the? Because if you come and say you lose so many people, you do this and this and this. Okay, what are the strategies? We would love to hear about that. One thing I talk about here is about the vision. When you look about the police vision, they talk about just allow me to go through very fast. An enlightened, motivated, community-oriented, accountable, and modern policing. Now, is our police enlightened? Is our police motivated? We are paying 480,000 shillings to a basic police officer. Now, I think that's about a police officer of the same level in Kenya gets like 2 million shillings, an equivalent. Now, if we are giving this for this type of small money, if Parliament is giving policemen this type of money, do we expect any changes? I think that's to me, that's where I have a probe. Yes.
Maybe before Rita, this is the second report. Of course, last year we did have you here. We analyzed the 2017, crime report. What do you make of this current one? I mean, what do you think has improved, so to speak, and what maybe could be the agenda of the police? This time around, it seems like they're taking a consistent kind of move with regards to providing such information to the public.
Of course, yes. We came up with there was a report on the 2017 report, but I'm very certain that the current police administration did not feel like owning it, because at that time they did not have serious control over the force or even over CID. You can see, you got CID today, you can see there is a facelift. Grace has brought up some kind of facelift. Just look at the painting, that tells a lot that it's like the police is waking up, the CID is now kind of being, it's now a directorate, not like a pocket kind of desk. You can see that there is some kind of improvement, yes. And besides, if you come up and read a report whereby you have not been having control. Sure, I did not have control in 2017. So literally, I think he was just good enough to come up with a report. It was not his report. It was Carter's report.
Yes. Okay. But this is now his. And
this is his report, yes.
We see that police on this end is making their own steps. But one thing we're noticing, they say that there's been a reduction in crime, but an increment when it comes to cases such as defilement, homicide, mob justice, sexually related crimes, robbery. And that also talks about the society right now.
Of course, I will not say that all the reports mentioned or the cases mentioned in this report are the only ones that happened.
Yes. The ones reported.
We may not have the police. Maybe they should also come up with a situation with a kind of a program whereby they detect unreported cases. There may be so many unreported cases like assaults, several defilements are discussed at the village level, at family level, and so many things. Yes. So basically, what we are looking at seriously here is yes. Let's start with what we have.
But what does it tell about our society?
I think we have to say that yes, there is improvement in reporting, like the way cases are being reported, but at the same time, it's like there's a problem with the way cases are being handled from reporting to prosecution. Right. There seems to be a slight, there's some kind of delay. There's a delay, there's a problem in between there.
What you're saying is correct, because just 22,000 out of the 73,000 cases that actually progressed to prosecution resulted in a conviction. 1,000 of this pretty much were acquitted, only 1,000 of this. So you can imagine, like you're saying, what then could be the issue? Fine, these cases, as the public, we've improved. We are now reporting, crime. But if only 22,000 out of the 73,000 that are actually cases that are progressed to prosecution, still only 22,000 actually resulted in conviction. What does that say with regards to our justice system?
You know, we have a problem. There's a time when state attorneys went on strike, had a strike, and I don't know to what extent they were maybe they are kind of balanced as far as payment is concerned. They could have gone down. Maybe they didn't get what they wanted, and somehow, somewhere, they went down on that kind of other strike, which will never surface, which is not like a sit-down strike. In the same way, policemen cannot strike. If you strike, that's mutiny. So, to me, there has been a lot of there's a problem with the state attorneys. Not possible. It may not be their making. State attorneys, we have very few state attorneys because of poor payment. And those who have decided to stay there, some of them have issues really with cases. You know, I've been telling police that when you write a statement, especially of a suspect, don't include the suspect's mobile number, because it's very likely, like if it's a case of defilement, a state attorney can be tempted to call. We have seen many being arrested. One in PG, a very senior person, was picked on cuffs because he had kind of flouted some procedures. Now, think of a situation that by the time he was caught, was he just learning, or he had done it for many years and kind of messed up prosecution? So we are looking at a situation whereby even CID, I think there's a problem here. CID has lawyers. They build a very nice case, and it is sent to DPP, and the state attorney decides to withdraw charges, to close the file, and the police legal department, which could have come up to say, no, we believe there is evidence, because evidence is not dreamt about.
Correct.
Evidence is understood, assessed, and kind of everybody can know that there is evidence.
But Mr. Egesa, if we bring the conversation down to saying, okay, fine, even the police are not well paid, and maybe that could be a demotivating factor, or maybe could push them to be involved in crime in one way or another for them to gain. And also we're saying the same conversation applies to state attorneys. It all boils down to their pay. Then will we ever get to that point where, you know, different people and different sectors and different, you know, laborers or workers in different sectors are paid well enough such that these issues, can we say that there's one particular figure that is enough to pay someone to discourage them from, you know, being compromised, so to speak?
I think we're not talking.
Is it a matter of the pay or the
what I'm
values?
talking about here is not that kind of very good pay. But I'm talking about a fair pay. We are dealing with police officers and maybe state attorneys who are literally destitute, who survive on almost, maybe like if you get 500,000, maybe that's on average. Just divide that 500,000 by 30 days. What do you get? About 10,000, maybe 12,000 shillings. Okay, there is school fees, because police, unlike the army, they do not have colleges and schools. They do not have insurance. They don't have hospitals. Out of that 12,000 shillings, a policeman is supposed to use part of it for transport as a human being. He buys a gomas for his wife. He takes his children to school. He buys Porsche. He buys beans. He goes to hospital. What is this? So we should understand that as much as the police has the mandate here, they have the mission here. They don't. The vision is dead for one reason.
They pay.
They pay.
But if you're going to talk about the pay, we'll also bring in the society, because police yesterday did mention the fact that they hope to see a crime-free society. When we have things like unemployment on the high, and then we see things such as high economic crimes within the same society, police might be overloaded, they might not have pay, but they hope to see a crime-free society, but also the society has nothing to be given to them.
Of course, they just hope. As long as they don't put issues right with payments, with the standards. You cannot live in a mama ingira pole, and then you wake up and you are saying you are investigating a murder. You have all the time. You find, like, go to Nsanji, they have one pickup which is even which has mechanical faults and is covering a whole area. How will they operate?
Right.
It's a situation that I think even as the public, you have heard about MPs fighting for the increments. They even want free OTT. They even want free this and the other. Okay, for purposes of performing, how do we expect the policemen to perform miracles? They are not Jesus. They are human beings.
They're not Jesus.
Yeah.
All right. You know, Mr. Martin Sokoto-Chola says that generally crime has reduced by 5.2%. And he says that maybe, could be, something is being done right. But I want you to bring us to the details and nitty-gritties of this particular districts. And you're talking about Lira, Mbarara, Arua, topping the crime hit list. What do you think could be the underlying factor that is making these districts actually be at the top there? What is it that maybe the police or government is not doing right?
At the look of it, we can say that crime is going down. We can feel it. We can feel it that crime is going down. But at the same time, you will appreciate that crime tends to move with development. Crime moves with advancement. Where there is more money in a district, in fact, where there is more development, there is crime. Because even criminals tend to create space to survive, and they will not go to areas where there is no money. So that explains the scenario that the towns that are coming up are being targeted by criminals because they know that possibly government has channeled some money there, possibly there are some chances and opportunities. So crime is also like a trade. It's like business of a sort.
Correct.
So it goes where there are better opportunities.
But then wouldn't we have perhaps in the police training things such as foreseeing something, that if we see development in, or is it not possible for them to foresee that if we see a bigger population here, if we see development here, there is a high chance? Because there are such places, we could give an example, even just within the city, places that have now become more populated, places like Najera, Namugongo, Chira, and we hear of the crimes on that end even getting higher and higher.
Yeah, what we are still lacking around our Uganda police is that situation. We call it dreaming, intelligence dreaming. You can dream about what may happen here or there and then create a kind of a counter for purposes of dealing with it. I've not heard about that. Of course, they are so much engrossed in lots of planning, kind of revamping the police, dealing with the situations that had gone to the dogs. I don't know at what stage they are planning, but it's very necessary that there should be a think tank for the police, a think tank for security. Now look at this situation we've been talking about. In fact, I'm sure that in the next security report there will be crimes committed by LDUs, because I can see the trend.
Yes,
I can
but
see the
we had the army
spokesperson
yesterday saying that we need to give them time. They are learning.
Time when they're learning on people's bodies. They're learning when they're harming. I think is being unfair to this country. You know, when you're in uniform, you should know that at one time you'll be a public servant. The public is the consumer. The public, some of us old people, the public has consumed us back, and we're here getting account. We are supposed to account for whatever we said and whatever we did. You cannot say that they're learning. These people were supposed to be under the police. Yes, let the army take on their maybe their discipline. Let the army take on their kind of facilitation and payment. But they should be a civilian force that is taught to respect the people. Now, if you bring them from training, and the first thing is you arm them with sticks and send them in a civil kind of an arrest, what are you doing? You are literally kind of raising them against the public. You are telling them that security is about. I used to think that looking after cows is beating them. I used to get a stick and then say, if they say go and graze,
yes.
I would start beating every cow. When my grandfather beat me up, I told him that grazing is about looking after the good of the cows, not hitting the cows. I think this is where is Karimere.
Yes.
He should get to understand that we are supposed to. This force is supposed to be a civil force. Yes.
Mr. Egesa, you know, this planned crimes are, you know, increasing by the day. You're talking about, you know, state attorneys being in this particular rackets where justice is not served because somehow they've been compromised. We're talking about, you know, security officials like the police, and also now you've mentioned the LDUs who are in one way or another, you know, perpetrating this crime. So what should the police force or the bigwigs or the police bosses do with regards to ensuring that that is mitigated in terms of maybe monitoring the functions of this, you know, personnel? What exactly should they do? Because if it is the same people who are mandated to protect us are being involved in one way or another to perpetrate crime, then what does the future hold for us? What should be the solution?
I suggest that the police opens up doors for all kinds of advice. They should create a department of deep thought about the security of the nation, compare and contrast, study the examples from countries where success has been registered in particular areas, and then come up with a well thought out design of policing. But if they lock up themselves and then create a kind of a security package and then throw it at the people, look at how it has worked, and then come back to say it didn't work, we lose a lot of money, we lose a lot of people, we lose a lot of property.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when we talk about loss, one other thing is also response when it comes to some of these crimes and the time within they're reported and within which police responds. Now, police even did mention the fact that the incident that happened on Lake Victoria with the MV Templar in November was one that took them by surprise. But also the fact that a number of times within just the society here, someone will make a call, someone is in my house, and police's response time is also something. Police showing up to some of these things.
Of course, here we have issues of logistics, we have issues of course, even command. I still jump to motivation and the moods. You're calling a man who is hungry, there's a problem. Secondly, I think the accident, the accident you talked about at the lake, was as a result. It did not start at the lake. It started on at the shores, where nobody bothered to take up to kind of, you know. I think I'll understand some of these policemen. Here's a situation that a rich man sits at is kind of loading a boat. You come to stop him and he makes a call. Okay, to a certain extent, I think that kind of order from above has kind of gone down. But in areas where the police has not been fully allowed to do their duty, where there is a lot of political influence, every politician here is a kind of an authority. You have seen situations of what we call cars that have permission to move, like ambulances, maybe presidential teams and everything. Now, several other people, some ministers, some other vehicles, government vehicles, have acquired the same sirens, and they also demand for clearance. By the time you give way, just see a small car moving, another car moving, and nobody has come up with to kind of deal with this. I think it is a situation that we do not deal with. The police, to a certain extent, has been disempowered. They have not been allowed. There are times when there's a lot of interference, especially from the political bigwigs.
Do you think we can get back? Can they get back that power?
If we get sane enough and know that we have to kind of make society understand the rule of law. If we come up with a situation whereby the law applies to everybody, the law, go to London, a minister can be arrested for bad driving.
Right.
Here you cannot touch him. Now, if we're moving in that kind of primitive way, then we're going nowhere.
You know, you talked of politics and its interference with the operations of the police. And unfortunately, we didn't have you to comment on this particular story where we did have Ronald Sebulime, who was shot dead. Unfortunately, you know, he lost his life in an unfair way. He was suspected to be this person who was trailing, of course, Member of Parliament, and he lost his life that way. And thanks to the Daily Monitor, after investigating, they found that this was just an innocent citizen going to visit his child in school, and boom, his life is gone. What did you have to make with this?
We're looking at the situation. That was an operational kind of not even a mistake, because it was a mishap. Someone decided that the arrest was okay because he was a suspect. But after he had been arrested and is kind of taken on and handcuffed, somehow, somewhere, either an order or someone decided to shoot him. Of course, that was very unfortunate.
They say they received orders from above.
They say they received orders from above, but once you don't mention the above, then you manage the order. It is your order then. If you don't mention the above, if you can be foolish enough to follow up an illegality because someone has told you, then you have to swallow the order.
But what then happens to the hierarchy of, you know, sending orders to that police person who is ranked at a lower, pretty much cadre. What should be the idea? Because this is a person who doesn't have the powers. They say that they received orders from above and hence they executed. So what should be the ideal process?
What happens here is that even the lowest of policemen should understand that he went through, of course he must have done the 9 months training. He must he has basic understanding of the law, he has basic understanding of the penal code, so he knows what a crime is. You can disobey that order, even if it means being disciplined, or even if it means leaving the force. You'd rather rebel if you're given an order that's ultra vires. That's not according to the written laws, no. Like if you say shoot and you believe that the man is not posing any danger, you have to resist. Otherwise, if all of us were doing everything being told by whoever was commanding, then I think we will not be on the streets of Kampala. Yes.
But then also take it to now the army and police. A situation that we saw also last year, actually this year, I beg your pardon, with the traffic officer, the lady. And then we also had the ambassador to Burundi, Major General Charlie Gonza, in a part of it. We see police trying to do their bit, because they also mentioned the fact that when it came to traffic incidences, there were a number of them on that end. Violations there, a number of them have claimed people's lives, but also looking at who calls the shots when it comes to the road.
With that incident, I've always said that we have Uganda was at war for several years. Several people now who carry power went through this process of fighting.
Correct.
Now, what we have kind of underlooked is that sometimes they need counseling. They need some kind of counseling about, think of a situation that you started fighting at 17 years. What was in the bush was force and deaths and losses and killings. So that situation, that's what I was talking about, General Charlie Gonza, that such a people should accept that at a certain stage they need some bit of counseling. Otherwise, we are yet to see so many problems. All of us need counseling at one time, depending on what we went through as we are growing up, or as we are maturing, or as we are dealing this or the other. There is need for people especially if you have been at war at the very front.
Right.
They get stressed.
So what you're saying is that maybe his articulations and how he conducted himself, of course, post that particular event, was as a result of maybe his previous
definitely
orientations.
Definitely.
Is it just that, or
of course,
some people were saying, the public was saying that maybe perhaps some people are above the law?
Look, this gentleman is an ambassador, meaning that he's a very sane person. He does his business right, but at the same time, he has excesses. How do excesses come about? It is because of the way what they went through, kind of has rubbing on their mind.
Okay.
It's like you may never drop all the childhood or what you went through as a child. Some of what you went through may still affect you. So that's why I'm saying that several people, even those who are, there are areas we have seen some are very okay, depending on who, everybody has his own resistance and abilities. But several of them, if you have gone through a situation that has been stressing, as you grow up, it is very important that we develop situations of counseling.
Okay.
Professors or there are departments that deal with understanding a human behavior vis-a-vis his background, so that they are counseled. And otherwise, we are going to have issues. We'll have issues of the several generals, several lieutenants, several colonels are suffering outside there just because they went through a stressing situations whereby they need counseling.
You've given us a whole new perspective to do with this, because many were saying that some of these bigwigs act a certain way just because they feel that perhaps they are above the law. But thank you for that kind of breakdown. Now, 5 districts whose municipalities are to be upgraded to city status pretty much top the list of crimes report. And we are talking about areas to do with, back to Kampala. Kampala is a city, but areas to do with Katwe, Mukono, apparently are the worst places for people to actually live in. What could be the characteristics of these two regions, Katwe and Mukono? Why is crime thriving in these areas?
Of course, we're talking about areas of, which surround the city, with that kind of very, very big populations, with lots of activities. Of course, they suck from the city. Now, if anybody who plans crime in the city has to live around the suburbs. If there you find simple living. You may not even need transport to go to Katwe. You may not need transport to walk to Nakulabi. Right. You may need transport to go to all these areas being mentioned. So it's like I said, where there is development, crime is like a hyena. It moves with the lion. They are kind of contemporaries when it comes to situations of development, and crime feeds on development. So you should know that crime feeds on development. So that's why you see that, as of course, Kampala has much more concentration of opportunities, right? A concentration of investments, many chances and opportunities. That's why you see Karamojong is coming here. Those are the ones on the streets. You see, everybody leaves the village to come and find greener pastures. Yes. So in the process, if you do not find a good one, someone thrives on a wrong one.
So what next? The police know Mukono, Katwe issues.
Yeah, of course, there should be that, the police should open their eyes, not even the police alone, several departments like ministries who are concerned with the poor, concerned with the deprived, concerned with children who are on the streets. They should come up and let everybody do his own mandate. Okay. You remember I used to criticize the former police regime for trying to rehabilitate criminals, because that's not their mandate. Their mandate was to get them and to lock them up. Let another ministry that has the duty to come up and then do what they're mandated to do. Okay. Yes.
Mr. Freddy, we do have feedback on social media with regards to the same conversation. So Rita, what are people saying? Well,
taking a look at what the annual crime and traffic report road safety the report has brought on social media. One will start with Shakira Nalugo on Facebook. She says, really, I doubt. In her belief, they believe a number of things when they say that crime has reduced by 5.2%. Going on, we have Paul Nixon Bukoma, who says the CCTV cameras have done a good deal to lowering crime within the city. And going forward, we have Alan Morgan on Facebook, who says there is a decline, though police and other security agencies are increasing crimes by misusing firearms, especially bodyguards, for the so-called VIPs, something that also Mr. Egesa had mentioned. Now, we also have Onapito Ian, who says, this is on Twitter, well, the old adage, statistics don't lie, is truly being tested in our nation. Majority of Ugandans would bluntly tell you that the numbers are a lie, but the numbers never paint the full picture, so they aren't entirely trustable. Going forward, on Facebook, we have Semalalu Charles, who says, it sounds pleasant to the ears, but I lost trust with police and it's hard for me to believe what they say and report. Having said that, the deployment of LDUs is going to increase crime on the contrary, and the next police report will report the surging in the crime rate. Now, on Facebook, we also have Achiro Daudi, who says the decline in the number of crimes reported doesn't necessarily mean decline in crimes. It could be that people stopped reporting cases because they don't trust police and will investigate or effect any justice after that. Well, that is it on social media. Now you can use the hashtag morning@NTV to also continue and be a part of the conversation. But on that end, Mala, one thing that is coming up is the trust in police by the community. And perhaps Mr. Egesa will be able to also tell us about that. When we have a society that is not trusting of the police, what would that lead to?
Thank you so much, Rita. Mr. Egesa, you can take that.
Well, I think with trust, I can see that to a certain extent, the police is coming up now calling for that kind of trust. But at the same time, we should also believe that there are constraints. I'm not trying to defend them, but at the same time, there is also indiscipline. There are several things that the police has not done, and we encourage them to do, because we're saying that they have just closed one year.
Right.
Yeah, a child who has just completed his first
yeah, in life.
His first birthday. He's not. You expect him just to jump around, and then the process we see. Let's see, because we started shouting at Kayihura like 10 years. Here is a situation where we're saying, please, Mr. Chola, Mzee, and all other directors, pull up. This people have not yet felt the current. They have not yet touched that current, whereby they believe that police is active and the police is for them.
Okay, yeah. All right. And also comment on LDUs as we come to a close. Someone did comment that the deployment of the LDUs will actually increase crime as opposed to mitigating it.
The idea of LDU was not so bad, because it's like, I thought that people who are, if you are picked from village A, you are trained and then you're deployed in the same village, because your mother is there, you have stake there, everybody's there. But if I see LDUs running, running battles with errant people, right, then I could see a situation whereby they are coming to society through a wrong door. So they should be, let's stick to the vision. Let's stick to the mindset. I know if like the president allowed this for purposes of making sure that in every village there is someone you can call upon when there is an attack. But if we are seeing them just on tracks, we don't feel them in villages where their deployments, they have sticks, they keep on grabbing passerbys without even guidance, then I think we're going through the wrong channel. Okay. They let the LDUs, of course there was that kind of space because of the police is still on the ground, but at the same time, let's say that let the LDUs be deployed where they came from. And so that they can also be monitored by their own LCs. But if you get a man from Nakawa and you put him in Usega, he is not accountable to the society because he's not known. He's very likely to do anything he wants.
So put them where people know them.
Put them where people know them. Let them mess their own villages. The real people who picked them, sorry. Why do you carry a man who was picked by another person and then you throw him to people who did not pick him?
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Before we loop into traffic, before we let you go as well and loop into traffic, the issue of CCTV cameras, it was a huge investment, and people thought that this will significantly reduce crime and ensure that the police actually have an easy time bringing the perpetrators to book. Why are we not seeing any significant change with regards to that?
There are drops of change here and there, of course, not compared to the investment, but it's a way forward. Let's just not brush it off. Okay. But at the same time, I've always talked about the Ujamaa intelligence, where everybody, you become a detective, I'm a detective, everybody is a detective, and the government gives a kind of incentive to whoever brings good information. Then the information is shaped well. There is still that problem of how information is picked, because if the camera picks a man who hit the KCC man, the men eyes have been seeing him and they know him and they don't know maybe where to report him. Right. And if they used the eyes, they would possibly use even less than 200,000 to pick up everybody who messes up places like Nakasero. Because why don't we come up with the simplest of methods of intelligence gathering, but by using the public, the people themselves. Okay. Of course, in addition to cameras and several other areas and several other issues or programs, we should. I've heard of governments where a token is given for information given.
All right, whistleblowers. Thank you so much, Mr. Freddie David Egesa, security analyst in the country. You have indeed broken it down, and I'm sure that you've all understood. Thank you too for your feedback. Of course, keep them coming. The hashtag is Morning at NTV. At this point in time, would like to link over to Stephen Bida to tell us how the roads look like it's back to school week. Good morning, Stephen.
Good morning to you. Thank you, Mala, for coming to me. Yes, indeed, I'm here at Buyogere, at the junction of Buyogere